All right, welcome everybody to another DFIR Python study group session. So today I'm going to recap a couple of things because I didn't do as good of a job as I wanted to in a couple of concepts. So I want to review that concept in regards to how do we iterate through dictionaries. Well, JSONs that we deserialize into a dictionary, okay? And if you don't know what these words mean, if you're watching and you don't know what these words mean, the previous class video we explained what deserialization means. All right, so let's get into it. So I'm gonna make here, and hopefully my screen is being shown. I'm gonna make here a let's call this thingies because why not? We're gonna make a dictionary, and I'm gonna just put a couple of keys and values here. Okay, and let's took here. Let's put color, and let's do red. And for the sake of having a different type of data type, let's put number, but an actual number. Okay, this should be good, right? Yeah. All right. So let's make sure that we have what we see what we expect to see, right? All right. So there's our small dictionary. So again, if we do type and we run our dictionary to this function, it's a dictionary. All right. So if you want to understand what type of methods you could apply to an object, in this case, a dictionary object, what you need to do, this is something new, it's not in the book, all right? You want to use the dir command, okay? And I'm going to use the dir command here just on without calling my dictionary, just show it to you as it applies to an empty dictionary. You see this empty dictionary here, right? There's nothing in it. And you'll see here all the different attributes of the object and what you could do with them. Look at this one. I'm interested in this one's called iter, from iteration. What that means is that dictionaries, you can go to the elements in it in a repeating fashion, right? Going one to the other, to the next, to the next. If we do the same here with a list, what am I doing here? Yep. There we go. There we go. I can't type. You will see that also lists, well, not in it, sorry. Where is it? The iter. It's around here. There it is. There we go. You can also iterate with them, okay? Now, in addition to that, look at some of the different methods you can have. Remember, we're talking about how you can pop things from a list, how you can reverse them, how you can sort them, right? You can count. We talked about the copy method, extend. Does that make sense? So same thing with a dictionary. We have items, which we talked about last time, but we also have keys and we also have values. Here it is, right? So you can apply these to your dictionary using the dot notation. So before I do that, let me just show you how iteration looks on a dictionary, which we've done before. It's just kind of, I'm going to lay a foundation for the points I'm going to make. When we're iterating through a list or a dictionary, we use a for or a while, but for now we use fors. And let's just go for, let's call this, what are we going to call it? Let's call it key, for key in thingy, right? Or thingies, right? I want to print key, right? So this variable will receive the result of that iteration. What do we get when we just run it this way, in the way we do the list? You see that? What we get is car, color, and number, right? Those are the keys to your dictionary, all right? So if you do a regular iteration that you would do with a list, what you get is just the keys. So by logic, that would tell us that if I then, what I do is, what if I, okay, I got the keys, right? But, and then this is kind of harking back to last class. If I want to get to the values, what I need to do is call the key, and then, I'm sorry, I should, yeah, no, actually, I'm good. I should name it something else. Let's call it print. Yeah, no, I'm good. Let's call it key F. All right. Now call the key. There we go. I don't know what I'm doing. Thingy's here. Hold on. Yep. There we go. All right. So that's what she would do it. Yeah, perfect. So we're calling the key. It gets here, right? Car for your function, and then let it rip, right? So now we got Honda, red, and 1, right? Easy peasy, right? So the question is, what does the book, decide to not go this route? If you want to look for, let's say, the keys in thingies, what it does is, okay, put a dot, and let's use keys. Let me make sure it's keys. Yep, keys. There it is. Keys, right? And call our function, and then just print key, right? So that you get the same results, but here I'm calling the keys straight up using the method here, the functionality that comes with dictionaries. And the for values is the same. Let's call this values. So it makes it more clear. And make sure it's values or values. Yep, values. I hate Mac keyboards with a passion. I mean, I love Macs, but their keyboards lately are just insane bad, in my opinion. All right. Oh, I did something wrong. I didn't put the. Oh, don't use the same variable name. Sorry for let's call valid and in thingies dot values, and then yeah, don't use the same variable name. That's not smart. My bad. I was thinking of the keyboards. Thingies, and then let's call it val. There we go. What am I doing here? Line 2. What am I doing here? What am I missing? For val in thingies dot values, print. What am I doing wrong? Am I typing something wrong? Error key, error Honda. So it's pulling. Just give me a sec here. Let me 1 second here. Alrighty, so obviously it was a brain hot air. So all right, so obviously since I'm already, when I do value here and I call the method, what I get back, and actually this helps. Actually, it's a teaching moment. So we're gonna explore that teaching moment thanks to me to me all of a sudden having a brain fart. All right. All right, so there you are. So let's do something here. Let's do the teaching moment. Check this out. So for that same concept, right? Because it pulls out only the values, right? It doesn't. I don't need to reference the values because it's pulling them for me. So let's do a little bit of a learning point here. See what we get. Thingies dot values, right?
You're using a comma.
Thank you. That helps a lot. That helps a lot. Thank you, because I don't want to have to type this again. All right, so we're gonna print, but we're gonna print now is the type. What are we getting from this operation, right? You see that? So we actually, it's pulling out a string. So it pulls every data type inside that dictionary, right? So this is pretty interesting. Remember, the first couple of ways we did it, like here, we just iterating normally, like we iterate a list, we get keys. Oh, I'm sorry, here. We iterate normally, like we iterate any list, we get keys, right? If you're gonna get the values, we gotta use the key and apply it to the dictionary so we can get the values, you can reference it, okay? And we discussed that using dir for our dictionaries, we can get all the methods we can apply to it. There's a couple that we're interested in, like keys and values, which I showed you. So I'm going up and down, but I show you here, values, for example, right? And when you use values, it extracts directly the data with attached type. Now, great segue for the next part, for the next one, for key in, actually, let me put this way better. let's do value. And sorry, I'm trying to think of my variable names here. Right. So, and again, this value could be x. Let's do x, so that way there's no confusion there. In for x, who cares? For x in, right? So we're gonna use the method we talked about yesterday, right? Which is items. Okay. And I want to do that because I want to show you here. This is the part I really was bothered about me not explaining. I'm gonna do a couple of things. We're gonna do the type for x, okay? And furthermore, I want to actually print x. Okay. All right, look at this. The class is a tuple, right? And we have here a key and the value. A tuple, key, and the value. A tuple, key, and the value. And I want to show you this because hopefully it makes sense when we do this for key value in thingies dot items, or items, right? If I go, oh, I didn't put the semicolon, so it just hit enter, so my bad. For key value in my fat fingers, thingies, items, all right? Colon, there we go, and then print, and let's say we print key, and to make it look nicer, let's put like a little arrow here, just to make it look a little bit better. Oops, I said comma here. And then value. Okay. Hopefully now that makes sense, right? When you call items, right? When you apply items to your dictionary, you're getting a tuple containing a key and the value for each iteration of your dictionary. And here they are. If that makes sense, give me a 1. All right. And I want to show you that because harking back to what was mentioned in regards to variables, right? Python, and I've been doing some reading last night. Let me show I'm recording. Yeah. All right. If you look at locals, when we run it yesterday to see what different variables are we using, notice that this is a what? Itself, the data we see on screen is a dictionary, right? Python, and here's a key, and here's a value, and here's the key, and here's a value, and here's a key, and here's a value, right? Here's another key, and here's another value. Python internally uses a lot of dictionaries, which I wasn't really aware until the question came out yesterday and started doing some reading on the subject. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I wanted to explain that to you. So you understand that, hey, the reason we have key value here, there's 2 variables receiving that input, is because this method, items, will provide you a tuple that will have 2 items in it. I mean, not items, but a key and an item in it. Why a tuple, right? And the book explained that tuples are immutable. I'm not going to do demos of that, but just keep into account the following, right? Objects in Python that are non-hashable or iterable, like a list or a dictionary, cannot be keys in a dictionary. So actually, I will type it anyways, but just I'm not going to execute it just to show you. Like if I were to define my dictionary like this, let me lower the volume here. Like for example, this is a list, right? And then I put here, yes, as a, right? Actually, let's just do it. List equals, right? So this in theory should be, there's a list that has a list as a key, right? Let's see how that works. Oh, syntax. Let me do it again. I don't have a way of, I should have, let me see if I wrote down an example when I was doing my research last night. Yeah, right. Let me do it this way instead. This is the explanation. I wasn't gonna type it, but I already said it. Let's go with it. And we'll use a dictionary for the example. I got my research notes here. So 1 2, 3, right? And then we're gonna just do the value for this high, and I'm gonna close it. Okay. All right, you see this? Unhashable type list. You cannot have a list as a key because lists can change, right? And then if your dictionary changes without using the proper change methods that the dictionary provides, it's gonna be a mess, okay? So that cannot be a key. Same thing with a dictionary, cannot be a key. Now, tuples can be keys.
Sorry to interrupt you. Could you say that one more time, just a little bit slower? I'm sorry.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
When you define a list or a dictionary, actually this like this dictionary, you cannot use a list or a dictionary object as a key in your dictionary. You cannot, because they're unhashable, that you can hash them. And by hash them in this context means that they change, okay? If I do operations, remember when we talked about how you can, if you assign an object to another object, what you're doing is both objects reference the same item. So if you change one, the other one changes with it. You remember that part in the book? If you remember that part, give me a 1. I'm trying to see if I get any 1s. There we go. Okay. And therefore, if you need to do a copy of an object, the best way of doing it was actually using copy. Remember that? Right. That's the problem. If I'm using a list object as a key, I can change that. And the dictionary, then it will be a problem because dictionaries need to have unique keys. So it's not allowed. It's not allowed. Tuples, on the other hand, tuples can be let's just do it. Tuples can be a key in a dictionary. By the way, this is all stuff that I learned yesterday, so I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah, no error. And if I just print out my list, if I could type correctly, there it is, right? Because tuples don't change, okay? And I'm showing you that because you might ask yourself, well, what's the point, right, of extracting items from keys and values from a dictionary and making them tuples? In this way. Well, for us, it's not super important, but it might, but usually it is not. But I want you to understand this in detail. Your code might want to provide keys or values to another process or another piece of code, and you might not want to give the whole dictionary to the process that's gonna receive it, right? For privacy reasons, you wanna limit the amount of data that goes to the other side. I don't know why. But if you wanna do that, you can pull stuff out using these methods. It's a tuple, it's unchangeable, provided to the next process and go forward, right? So I want to really show you this so you understand why the dot items here, how it works in detail, how the objects themselves, like we did with the dir here for dictionary, the dir command, how the objects themselves have methods that let you do things to them, like keys, like values, like items. And the dot lets you access those. Yes.
And while you're getting into that, so we have a question. Does that mean you can use the key 1, 2, or 3 to get value 5 out?
You gotta use the whole list. Type the whole list in. So let's try it. I haven't tried it, but let's try it because why not, right? So if I call, what's the name of it's called list, right? And I'm gonna give it, the key is gonna be the tuple, right? 1, 2, 3, right? Let's see what happens. There it is, right? So you actually have to reference the whole tuple to get the value out. Does that answer the question? Like you can't just put 1. It's not gonna go into the tuple and just identify any value in it to show you stuff. No, you have to take the whole thing. The whole thing is the key now. Perfect. Alrighty. And again, this is way more in the weeds, but I think it's important because therefore now when you see a dictionary object dot and a method applied to it, now you understand, oh, okay, Python has its built-in things I could do with dictionaries called items, called values, called keys, or called whatever, copy, append. That's where it comes from. So you're not really sure what your object is capable of doing, built in. Just run dir on the object type. In this case, an empty dictionary would suffice, and there you go. You have all those things there. So hopefully that helps. I think it's important for you to understand because now you can see like the question yesterday, what about JSON.load or JSON.loads? Well, we have our JSON library, and within that library, now we have, you can run dir on it, we have methods that we can apply to it, right? And then we put our what are we applying it to? We're putting it between the parentheses. And hopefully that makes sense, right? The whole dot notation, that's how it works. If that helps, give me a 1. If it doesn't, give me a 0, and I'll think about in the future how to explain it better. All right, awesome. Okay, so let's go into the solution. All right, that's good. Thanks. And this feedback helps me a lot because again, I don't see your faces. So if you have like this trouble face, I can't really modify my teaching. All right. So this is my solution on how of the little homework that I gave last time, okay? What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go pretty much line by line, right? So the first thing we do is import JSON, okay? And this is from the Discord chats. We're gonna pull just the chats. And then we're gonna open the file, okay? As we have done normally, right? Okay, and since we're loading from a file, we're gonna use JSON load. If we were loading a string, then we would use load s, okay? And to make, and here's my variable that receives that JSON, the deserialized JSON, it will be placed as a dictionary in here if everything went well. But to make sure, I wanna print my type and see what it is, right? All you see here right now in the pound signs here or hashtags is commentary, so it's not being considered by the interpreter right now. Same thing with this block here. And ignore those for now. Just focus on these lines of code and this line of code. And let's see what we get. All right, so we have that, in this case, the deserialization gave me a what? A list, okay? All right. Now I want to see it in a more, user-friendly fashion. So the book showed us import pretty print or p print. Okay, so I'm doing this as the book explains. I'm gonna go into it. The book explains it. Actually, Jay put a nice screenshot in his Twitter about him using it, which is pretty neat. And let's see how we can see that those contents using pretty print. Look at that, right? That's pretty fancy. It's gonna take a little bit. Note to everybody: if you have if you're parsing data and you want to show stuff to the user to the screen, the more stuff you show, it will slow down your processing a little bit. If you look at my coding and you look at iLeap and ALeap, I just send to the screen what's necessary, so processing is not slowed down. All right. So my interpreter is hanged. What's going on? I think my interpreter hanged. What's going on? Go. All right, so yeah, so we run pretty print and it gives you the structure of the file, but I'm not gonna do it that way. Kind of hanged here, so to be able to move forward quickly, what we're gonna do is the following. I'm just gonna print the whole thing out as is, because the reason I'm printing everything out as is because I want you to show you just, again, why, as a teaching point, why list input, yeah. Right, so when JSON.load deserializes the list input, it figures out there's a bracket here, so it takes it identifies it correctly as a list. Now, inside that list, we start with a squiggly bracket here, and the colon here. So immediately, you know, by looking at that like a key and a colon, you know it's a dictionary. So we got a list instead of a dictionary. And that's the point I want to show you there. Okay. So that's why the type is, it's a list. It's because of that. So that way you understand why that's the case. All right. So now I'm gonna hide this part, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna iterate through our list. Okay. So I'm gonna look for, and actually, yeah, I'm gonna do it. This is fine. And I'm gonna just look for within my list input, and I look for timestamp, right? And the reason I'm looking for timestamp, actually I'm gonna open it here because I don't wanna use the interpreter to look at the file. It's just too cumbersome. File, my recents, and this one here. Oh, that's the code. I don't want the code. I want Discord JSON chess dot JSON.
So Brooke, I'm about to take off.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm about to make you host. So for anyone who trickled in afterwards, I have to take off. And so if you have a question, type it in Discord, or what is it? Type in Discord or unmute yourself. It's probably the best bet, right, Briggs?
Yeah, absolutely. I
think that's what we did. Okay, so I'm gonna make you full host, and hopefully when I leave, I'm not also forcing everyone else out. My apologies if that happens.
Oh, if that happens, then we'll continue on Tuesday. So we're gonna find out now.
Okay, change host. Fingers crossed. You're host now. Okay, I'm leaving.
May the force be with us.
Good luck, all.
Are we still here?
Right.
Oh, you haven't left yet. All right. Well, I guess I'm still here. All right. All right. So I'm gonna iterate through the list, right? And I'm gonna look for timestamp. And why am I doing that? Let me show you. Yeah, I want to save it. All right. So while that's going, notice here that I'm going through my dictionary here, and I'm calling by timestamp. And notice the timestamp as I'm calling it, it's the isn't in an order that it's not really good for me to read my chats, because it goes from the most recent down to the oldest, and that's tough, right? Because if you want to read a chat, you want to read a chat from the oldest first, like what was the first thing said, and then be adding the new things so you get to the end, right? So for that case, we're going to use the reverse functionality and apply it to our dictionary, so we can then get that in the proper order. So let's run it this way here. Say screen and run it. All right, so let's give it a second here. So what am I doing? I'm going through each item in my list, right? And each item in the list has a dictionary in it. You saw that? Okay. And then in order for me to get to what I asked you, which is author, for example, I have to go and do what? And this is the magic I was kind of mentioning last time. You gotta call your list. I mean, call the item, the object you iterated from, which is the dictionary. Call that dictionary, and then call the value timestamp. Call your dictionary, right? You iterate it, and then call author. So here's the key for author, but inside of it is another key called username. Then call that other key username next to it, and what you will get? You will get the actual value for username. What about chat content? Call your dictionary and the key, and you get your content, which is whatever the person wrote. And channel ID, same thing. Does that make sense? When your list is list input, because we received it from the load, from JSON.load. And then as we're iterating, what we're iterating through, we're iterating through dictionaries. And since we call I our receiving variable, then I will be the name of our dictionary when we iterate. And then we're gonna call values inside that dictionary, and we're gonna present them to the user to the screen using print. If it's nested, like in this case, you got a key, and then instead of it, another key value pair, then use the first key and then reference the second key to get that value. If here inside this part that I'm highlighting, if it had another key value pair, then in that case, you will be referencing 1, 2, 3 keys to get to the value. All right? If that makes sense, give me a 1. All right. Some of you sent me some of your examples of how you did it, which is, it was fantastic. Some of you, what you all did was actually take the data and put it inside a list or inside another dictionary, and then make it into strings to show it to the screen, and that works too. There's nothing wrong with that. Here, I did it the way I think is the most straightforward way. just showing it to the screen. But imagine this is showing it to the screen, but you could also, what you could also do is, for example, say, okay, I'm gonna make a list called results, right? That's one thing you could do. And then on results, I'm gonna append. And then instead of that, we can put here, actually I should do one more step here. I'm just gonna do it for two values, just for the sake of the example. I could say here time equals, and I could say right, let me just copy it here, copy paste it. There we go, right? And let's do another one. Let's put author. And we could do this number here. And for it, and I think it looks better if I do this, because it actually helps me kind of visualize it better. So like one group. Okay. And then I could append time, and I could append author. Let's see if I did right. I did that right. Again, I'm just well, actually I should do this outside of it. All right, there we go. Let's see what happens. I'm not sure what's gonna happen. Let's see. I mean, I know in my head, but let's try it. All right, I give him to our, hold on. Yeah, I don't know why. Because I'm a dummy. Time. All right. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry, people. Time. There we go. Author. There we go. Now it's gonna work. All right, let's go. Let's save it. I'll explain why. All right, you saw that? So timestamp, and so this print is the last one here. So what happened here? Actually, I'm glad I went down this segue, because I think it illustrates something interesting. Notice here that I extracted the value that I care for was time, and I also extracted what I care for was the username, and I put it inside these two variables. Append, when we do append, we can only enter in a sense an object, a thing, right? At the beginning, I was trying to give it two. I was going to put an append of the two values. That's not going to work. I would have to do one append for time, one append for author, to have them to be their distinct items. But no, I want both to be part of that first index location in my list. Okay, so I put these parentheses here, so now they're one unit, and that one unit can be appended to one index location, and I print that out. Okay, and I'm showing you that because you can have this is one way of having nested list or nested dictionary. That's how it happens when you put a couple of multiple things in one index location. iLeap and XLeap, iLeap and ALeap use this. I use this a lot for my reporting. What I do is I append all the things I want to report on, and then I go reporting on each item in my list. Each item in my list will have all that I need to show as a row on my screen for the reporting, and hopefully that makes sense. If not, I'm gonna show you one quick example from my code just to.
And just to clarify,
yeah.
Whenever you're appending the time and author value, that was being just automatically recognized as a tuple, correct? So adding a tuple to the list.
That's a great question. That's a great question. Let's check it out. So let's pull out a print. That's a great question. I like it. I love it. Type, and let's put let me see if I do this. Hopefully I'm doing this right. Results, and I want the first location. Let's see if this works. And I don't want to spend time with all these things. Oops. So let's just make this comments here, because I don't care for any of that right now. Let's see what happens. That's a good question. I like it. What I'm doing wrong? Oh, print type results. I guess I need
missing a close parenthesis.
There we go. Thank you. All right, am I running it? this is not a good way of calling it, I guess. Let me see if I save it right. So let me do it this way. Oh, this should work. Results, all right. No, it's not running. I'm not running it right. What am I doing here? I saved it, Command S, and running it. Function F5. I don't know why my I don't know why the interpreter is not pulling it out, but it don't matter. We're gonna do it this way then. Yeah, I have it here. Let's see what. There we go. All right. So yeah, it is. It is a tuple. There you go.
I had a question, Briggs.
Yeah, sure.
The second to last print there on the screen, were you trying to print the list results, or you're just trying to print the one, not that one, the one above it?
This one here?
Yeah. So you're not trying to print the list there of results?
Oh, no. Here, what am I doing here?
Because you're appending to results, so I was assuming you were going to print results with the two values.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
You're correct. There we go.
Gotcha.
You're correct. Thank you. I guess I was showing the author, but but this is it. Thank you. So yeah, it's a tuple. So, and here's the type underneath it. Why the interpreter was not running a second ago, I had no clue. But the IDLE, not the interpreter, the IDLE. But the editor that I like actually showed it, so I guess we're good. So does that make sense? So what I'm doing is see how the inside my my list, that first index location has time, it has author in it. Okay. So, that's that. Okay. What are the takeaways from this exercise? And with that, we're pretty much done for today. Well, actually, no. I should one more thing, and then we're done. The takeaway is import JSON. Use that library. Open your file as usual. That library, if you're reading from the file, use load to get the deserialization done. In this case, it was a list. All right. And we did that by printing the type list. Then I use reverse because on my research, I noticed that all the dictionaries were in reverse in an order that's not useful for me. If I'm reading chats, I don't want to read the chats from the earliest to the oldest because that's going to be confusing. I'm going to read from the oldest to the earliest so I can make sense of it. So I'm going to use reversed. The reversed, so I can then look at the items in that list in reverse order. And then I'm going to pull out from the dictionaries inside of it what I want by calling the dictionary, which in this case is I, and then the key. The most important thing you gotta remember is that for me to make sense of this, you had to look at the data first. You gotta figure it out that it was a list and that each item in the list was a dictionary. You may have a JSON file that you're importing that is not a list. It's actually just a plain dictionary, like a JSON file dictionary from the get-go. In that case, then you need to then address it differently, right? When you do your loop, then you're gonna be calling straight out the locations, the keys that you're going through it. Same thing here. If it's nested, call by keys, and keys. Okay, so those are big takeaways on how you manage those. You need to understand your data set. If you don't put the time in to understand it, then you're not gonna be successful. You'll be coding blindly, which I've been known to have done. And now the ID now went black. Okay then. All right, then I'll go with my own editor. I know the IDLE is kind of acting strangely, so I don't know. We'll go this way. All right, so let me make a I want to give it one more shot. Okay, one more shot. That's it. So rapidly. So we discovered, or we learned in class, that if we go and we need to make a set, and now I'm just kind of making it, making this all right. If you're making a set in this way, this is the easy way. Sets don't have duplicates, right? So let's see if this confirm that's the case. There you go, right? So I have a bunch of A's, but it's just going to collapse them into just one. It will not accept duplicates. And notice here, they're not in order. Dictionaries now, after Python 3.76, I'm really sure, dictionaries are ordered as you input them in. sets are not, right? So you can always go and say, okay, then sorted. I want to sneeze, but it went away. Sorted vowels. There we go. So now we have them in the proper order. Does that make sense? So sets, unlike dictionaries, were not ordered, or they're not ordered by default. You have to kind of sort it, and it will take out duplicates. Easy peasy. Okay. Let's open vowel 7, which is the last, I think, piece of code in the chapter. We made a set of the vowels, as we saw here, and then we provide a word to search for the vowels, and it's using a method here called intersection that we can apply to vowels. Okay, and I think, let me see, I think if we do a dir, and I think this is the one for a set, is it? There we go. What do we have here? I'm not gonna go through this. It's just too long. But anyways, so we got intersection here. So let's just run this so we can actually see how it goes. All right, so let's put my name. There we go, and it gets the vowels. Now I want to give you a D for example of, because the question might be, okay, so if I use intersection, if I use like union, right? What values are in this set and in this set, right? They're not on the other one, and make a list of those unique values, right? Union or intersection. When is that useful? Why do I care, right? And since we're short on time, I'm not gonna explain them. The book explains them, explains union, explains intersection, explains those set operations. And I'll give you an actual live example, okay, that I use for my own coding. Because honestly, I didn't find anything that was exactly what I wanted. So I have a program called, where is it? Let me close this down. Close this down. I'll close this down for now. I'm in the right repository. Now I should open it where I want it, hopefully. I think my computer is just crashing lately, but here it is. There's something in my computer, I need to reset it. All right, so here's my code. So this code, what it does is it takes two files, and this is what I want to show you, right? It will get an union from those files. It will get an intersection of those files, and it will get the symmetric difference. And that's part of your homework. You're gonna know what it is, look it up, right? Symmetric difference of those files. And it would output that for you. Why is that useful? All right, so let me give you an example of casework. So let's say I have file 1 and I have file 2. If you notice, these files have IP numbers, right? And these IPs, you know, they're private IPs, who cares? But imagine you have a case where you have case IPs from computers, right? And let's say these computers were intruded. And you want to figure out what communications were these computers having to other computers, right? Because they might be victims or might be have been exposed to a computer that's been compromised. All right, well, let's say you have really long lists and you want to do only unique ones, or you want to see, okay, which IPs are in this list that are not on this list, or vice versa, right? Just to be able to move your investigation forward. You can use a program like this, right? So let me see if I have my settings. In my parameters, I selected, I'm gonna look at all the options like union, intersection, everything. And I'm gonna give it file number 1, and I'm gonna have it compared to file number 2, right? So I'm just gonna run it. And you see, it'll tell me, okay, their items per union, 23, per intersection, 11, symmetric difference, 12, and then difference 3 in one and 9 on the other. Okay, so how does that look? Let's go to the code itself. Let's open here. Let's open union. Right, so what does union do? It takes all the values in one list and adds all the values, not adds, and kind of appends all the values on the other list with no repeats, right? If you notice, 1 is here, 2.1 is here, 2.1 is here, right? But in our result of union, we only have just only one 2.1, like unique IP is here. Does that make sense? So union gives me a unique IP. So these two computers, right? If I want a list of all the unique IPs that these two computers have been communicating to, run a union on it, and it will give it to you. And it's easy because it will do that uniqueness, right? That collapsation on its own. You don't have to code it. Just tell it. It's as simple as telling it. Where's my code here? It's as simple as telling it. Where's union? As telling it, okay, from my set number 1, right, the first IPs that I gave you, do an union with this my second set, my second file of IPs that I'm having here, and then just give me a result. The whole magic is just literally this little line. I don't have to be going and say, is this IP here? Is this IP there? Well, if it is, only keep one. I don't have to do any of that. This little line does it all for me. If that makes sense, give me a 1, please. Just like it did with the vowels, exactly. Precisely the same thing. All right. And I wanted to show you this example because it's a real, I use this for work, right? I look at 2 big long lists of IPs and I unique them using union. Or I might want to make sure, and like I said, like a difference, like which ones are this one here, let's do a intersection, right? Right, the IPs that are on both. Oh, which one is intersection? I don't even remember off the top of my head. I had to look them up, but I think that makes sense. I'm not going to belabor the point. So I think that with that, we end up, we cover everything. For next class, let's start reading from page 145 to 169. And it's going to be about functions. It's really important. But I'm going to also start introducing SQLite. And how do we go about forensically using Python to parse SQLite databases, which I think everybody will be super interested in. And again, sorry about the technical difficulties. I think my computer is acting weird. It's even crashing my other editor. So, I mean, it's bad, but at least I don't feel bad. It's not me. And thanks everybody for helping. Any questions or comments?
I had one last quick thing. Sorry to be a pain.
Oh, no, go ahead.
It was on your the Discord code.
Yes.
Could you pull it up for a sec?
Yeah,
absolutely. I was hoping you could just run it one last time.
Oh, absolutely.
But without the additions you put at the bottom.
Yeah. Down here.
Yeah, if you rip out everything up to time and just do those print statements, the ones you commented out.
Yes.
Yeah, if you could just run that. I'm curious if you got the same issue that I got.
Yeah, go ahead. What's the issue?
The issue I got was that on some of the content fields, I would get a decoding issue.
For the smiley faces and stuff?
Yeah. So I think it was probably because like the emoticons or whatever.
Yeah. So one way of doing, I mean, sometimes you can do is, let me see if I have to Google it because I always would forget, but the encoding here, just put a UTF-8 or whatever it is. I mean, it should get it by its on its own, but sometimes you have to define a particular encoding for it to work.
And I don't know if if Code Runner is handling it better than the idle.
I think it is.
Because mine would die like on the 5th one. And then I did put in a decoding statement just to, get past it. But I didn't get the like emoticons or anything. I just got, like escaped Unicode out of there.
Yeah. How your how your, like, for example, let me put it this way. If I take this code, right, as is, right, and I just run it, and then the output is not going to be the screen, but I make a HTML file, for example, it will work because when the browser opens it, the browser knows how to read this Unicode. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I didn't get time to like dive into it more, but I'm sure I could get it to work. It's just
no, but this is,
it died in the idle editor.
Yeah, and that could be. I mean, that editor is super simple. So I'm actually we're making it do more than it should. Maybe that's why it was hanging. To be honest with you, I think that's what it was. It came up to
right.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what I had meant. I had actually meant for you to run it in the idle editor, but whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, it's gonna, and maybe that's why it was choking. But this editor that I have is better at handling it. But
right.
And this is a more of an advanced topic. I appreciate you bringing it up, and we'll talk about it as we move forward. What do you do when you have a file, right? And it's in a weird format, like a weird encoding. It's not the usual ASCII or Unicode. What do you do? Well, Python has some libraries called codecs that will help you be able to make sense of it. So it could actually be something you can read and understand. So we'll get to that into the future. There's a good comment here. You're probably on Windows. Set your environment. Yep, UTF-8. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. And Macs, you might not. Yeah, exactly. So it is a lot of some variation from. It's minimal, but there is when you code Mac to Windows. For example, I was having an issue some time ago, and actually I'm gonna stop the recording because the class is done. So let me stop this recording. Hold on. Oh, I stopped the share. I didn't want to do that, but that's fine. Recording.